spirituality is significant. Life forces are very, very significant. And the feeding of those life forces are very significant. I've been pondering from an anthropological point of view about the human life force. How do you feed it in such a way that might assist a person not gamble so much? That's a spiritual question, and yet it has to be addressed. Right? So that's also, as I say, deeply Pacific and Asian also. So life essences and the Māori, the tapu, and ideas of being potential. So is human potentiality addressed in the entertainment that goes with gambling? And why so? I'm not sure we even understand that. So from my point of view, Māori point of view, gambling goes to the very heart of your tapu. And how do we make sense of that? And to what extent can tapu be used to redirect the intentions of a person and control it? Okay? And then consequently, what comes from tapu is your mana and so on and so forth, the tikanga hau, which is the spiritual basis for reciprocity in relationships. At what point is gambling morally offensive to the quality of life in the individuals and the extended family? That's largely a moral problem. And what's the response of kinship systems, family systems, to that moral problem and the particular form of human behaviour that goes with the moral problem? Right? So, but how do you measure these things? I don't have an answer, otherwise I'll give you some. But my point here is that the fact that we don't know how to measurement does suggest that a lot of research needs to be done, a lot of interactions with communities need to be done to find out what are the measurements that a community defines for itself as to what's successful and not successful. And I'm not sure, as I'll explain later, the standard approach of statistical averaging is any help at all. And I'll just comment on the statistical averaging thing, which is embedded in the gross domestic product kind of approach to measuring well-being, which most of our countries still use GDP, but just use this as an example. But I just want to take the idea of spiritual well-being in economic terms can now be translated into as a form of spiritual capital. So there is a spirituality of economics which can be applied, I think, to this particular social issue that we're addressing in this conference. There's environmental capital and well-being, which can be translated into environmental capital. And there are ways now measuring the environmental impact that humans have on the society or the country that they live in. The social cultural well-being, of course, now can be defined as a form of capital. Our kinship systems, our families are a significant capital that humans can have, and therefore they can be factored into the economic equation, and finally the normal economic capitals and so on and so forth. So how then do you measure wealth? At the moment, the gross domestic product, the GDP, does not include spiritual, very little environmental, and very little social capital is included in the GDP. So we really don't have any idea of the general state of any given society today. And it's problematic because most of the countries of the world still use GDP as a measurement of prosperity and wealth. Okay. How do we engage with the major entertainment gambling companies, emphasising where we can emphasise that there is a new business model which has come out of Harvard and other places called the Vanguard companies model. And the works of Rosabeth Moss-Canto of Harvard, she's argued that businesses of the future, particularly the larger one for regional economies and global economies, and the gambling sectors is huge super corporation stuff. Those businesses, they will survive if they're agile, ahead of the market change and customer needs, are businesses that are progressive, socially responsible human communities. In other words, the companies have to be considered as a socially responsible human community. That's far wider than a company existing to look after the shareholders. That's it. And so this is what this study is pointing to. Here are some of the characteristics of Vanguard companies. And where I'm heading on this is, are the major corporations who have gambling institutions in our part of the world, do they see themselves as in the broader sense that we've been talking about here? Do they measure their business performance against spiritual performance, environmental performance, kinship performance, and as well as financial and economic performances? If not, why not? And there are some modelling going on now that suggests that there are ways in which corporations can do this. And so these Vanguard companies, as Cantor refers to them, create innovation, profits, growth, and social good. Two examples of Vanguard companies, the IBM Asia and Procter & Gamble, where they changed their corporate cultures and removed social responsibility from something you do after you've made the profit. Now you give donations out to worthy groups who solve the social problems, to saying, as IBM has done, poverty removal is now a core part of our business. Why can't problem gambling be seen by the companies we're engaged with as a core part of their business, not something they do after the profits have been distributed to shareholders and others? This is a change in the business model. Why not a common strategy on problem gambling for entertainment gambling corporations, where problem gambling, ludomania resolution, is a core part of the business? That seems to me to be the new negotiations to take place. And I just quickly mentioned, I'm not going to go through in great detail, but that kind of change in looking at the commercial activity requires another change at the political philosophy level, where we have to measure people's well-beings in terms of their capabilities, not the statistical GDP kind of analysis. On average, they should be happy, which is a major measurement at the moment. What happens if, and so these things by Martha Nussbaum and others, these are the 10 core central capabilities of humans. And it's in here we may find ways of defining gambling as a human activity in one of the 10 capabilities, and work out why entertainment businesses that meet the human need to take a few risks, gamble, and so on and so forth, but at the same time address the consequential social problems that are part of it. And so measuring capabilities in terms of what is it that people of a given culture say is important in their life, and then working out programs from that.